Hello again. My name is Rodney Batman Batiste, and as I said in my first video, I am a former middleweight champion of the world in full contact karate. But that's not what I want to talk to you about. What I neglected to tell you in the first video is that after devising this safety course with my wife, it was so well received that I was hired by the federal Judiciary centers, that's the U.S. courts, to travel the country for 3 years teaching my escape strategies, the easy system of control, and practical emergency strategies to federal agents, probation officers, pretrial clerks, U.S. Marshals, and anyone that was in the Justice Department that may had a reason to visit a client, being a someone who was released on probation, and they didn't were not able to carry a weapon or a gun. And so I was hired to teach people how to protect themselves without their weapons. Okay, so let's get on with it. So in my earlier tape, I talked a little bit about the kinds of pain that you can administer. So you have pain from a dull impact, a blunt force pain, and then you have acute pain. So next I want to talk about the targets that you strike. There were 4 targets that will neutralize an assailant. Neutralize means that you render the person incapable of either following you or harming you after you strike them. Now, I'm going to give them to you in order of least importance, and this is probably going to surprise a lot of my female viewers. The 4th target, that's the one of least importance on my 4, is the groin. And that's because although the groin is a good target, in as much as if you strike it, not only is it painful, it has a tendency to rob the recipient of their strength, so they momentarily lose their ability to hold you strong or resist you or to keep you from running. Okay, it's a really good strike. The problem with it is, if I were in a room and I asked 10 women, if you were going to defend yourself against someone approximately my size or height, what's the best place to strike me? 9 out of 10 of those women would say, kick him in below the belt. Kick him below the belt. On the other side of the coin, if I were going to ask 10 men, okay, a woman is about to protect herself against you. Where is she more likely to try to strike you than not? 9 out of those 10 men are going to say they're going to try to strike me below the belt, okay? As it relates to male versus female, the groin is probably the most instinctively protected area. I'm not saying it's not good, because again, if you strike the area, if you catch it just right, you're going to cause not just debilitating pain, but the pain will rob someone of their strength and their ability to hurt you. So, what are the other types of strikes? Okay, so you can strike the groin, but I would not recommend that you strike the groin with a kick. Most people think of, kick between the legs. That in itself causes the problem. In as much as, let's assume that you have 2 people. One is the antagonist, one is the person who's defending themselves. They're in close confines. Suddenly, the person defending themselves decides that they want to throw a kick. They have to move into range to kick the person, and in doing that, they put themselves at a disadvantage from a full force swing. So you put yourself out of what is effectively the safety range, and that is close quarters. From close quarters, you can come up with a knee, you can use the inside edge of your hand, you can use the outside edge of your hand, okay? So again, kicks are good, but they're not the best if you have an option. If someone is warning you that they're going to strike you, stepping back and trying to get into a kicking range is not optimum. Okay, so what is the next target? Okay, when I share this with you, it's going to be a surprise because most people would never even consider it. That target is the top of the foot. Earlier in my first tape, I talked about the fists and the metatarsals and how they were so fragile and not designed to take impact. Well, those bones, the same kind of bones, run the length of the foot. And if you were wearing a boot or a high heel or a really strong heel and you're out on a Friday night and suddenly you're in a situation where someone grabs you, instead of trying to break away, if you were to come down as forcefully and as hard as you can on the top of the foot, what you would probably do is break the foot. What would that do? That would leave the person incapable of following you when you exit the arena. Okay, so that's my third spot out of 4. The groin being the number 4. The top of the foot is number 3. Number 2 is the throat. The throat is so potentially damaging that any army worth its salt in the world teaches that to its cadets in basic training. They in fact say, if you come into a hand-to-hand combat situation with the enemy, go for the throat. That's because a strike to the throat can literally kill someone. That's why. If you strike the throat, you're hitting 2 potential targets. A forward strike would hit the trachea, which would cause someone to drown in their own blood. And you can literally just almost push on it, and you can see that it takes almost no impact at all to do a lot of damage with a strike to the throat. If you were to strike the side of the neck or throat, what that does is it causes the neck to jerk violently to the left or right and disrupt the spine. Now, the spine is the chief conduit to the nervous system. Any command from the brain to your fingers, to your toes, to your elbows, to your knees will come down the spine. So it travels from the brain down the spine. If the spine is disrupted, that will give you either permanent paralysis or death. And it doesn't take very much at all. You don't have to be very big. You don't have to be very strong. All you have to do is be desirous of surviving the incident. Use the edge of your hand, slash out as hard and as forcefully as you can to the neck and throat. You're going to get a response where the person is going to stop what they're doing and deal with their situation, which will allow you to get away. Okay, so by process of elimination, that brings us down to the number 1 targets. We have the groin, which is number 4, the top of the foot, which is number 3, the throat, front or side, or even the back of the throat. The number 1 target are the eyes. Think of it. If I can't see you, I can't hurt you. I don't care what's going on. I can't shoot you. I can't punch you. I can't grab you. I can't do anything. So the number 1 targets are the eyes. You can neutralize anyone by a strike to the eyes. But there's a caveat to striking to the eyes. Most people can't see themselves doing a forward thrust into the eyes, penetrating the bulb, causing blood, causing the eyes to goose. Most people in their mind can't see themselves doing that. And so what that does is it causes a hesitancy. It causes even and you're not really confident in what you would or will not do. So striking the eyes or attacking the eyes, is a better phrase, doesn't necessarily mean a forward thrust. It means causing momentary blindness. You can do that with a quick strike with the thumb. So in other words, instead of throwing a punch at someone, you flip your thumb and catch them with your fingernail raking across the eyelid. That's going to cause a desired result of someone responding to that, which will allow you to get away or to arm yourself. You can do that with a rake with both hands, raking your fingertips across the eyes, which is especially good for grabbing situations. Someone grabs you, they pull you in closer than you want to be, and you rake. Now, you've probably seen videos where someone would suggest, okay, go ahead and headbutt them. That's not a bad safety technique, but it takes a lot of force, and there's a risk of you injuring yourself on the person's forehead. With a raking motion, you're guaranteed to momentarily blind the person. They're going to stop what they're doing. They're going to deal with that situation. You can either arm yourself and follow up and finish them, or you can get away. There are other ways that you can momentarily blind someone. If you had reason to suspect that you're going to be under attack, you leave your office, you take the elevator down to the garage, it's dark, you hear suspicious noises, you become uncomfortable, you take your jacket off. If you find yourself under attack, you throw your jacket over the person's head, which will open up a strike to the groin, a stomp to the top of the foot, an instant getaway. You can also do something like that by carrying a book. You enter an arena where you've got some suspicious looking going on. It's an unfriendly environment. So you take your purse, put it in your arms. You take your book, put it in your arms. Someone approaches you. You take your book, put it in front of their face, momentarily blinding them. Knee to the groin, strike to the groin, strike to the top of the foot. You can do that with a handful of coins, believe it or not. Yeah, a handful of coins. So what you do, again, you have reason to suspect that you may find yourself in a safety situation. You arm yourself with a handful of coins, and put a handful of coins in your pocket. If a situation happens, reach into your pocket, hurl the coins at the person's face. You're going to get their necessary response where they're going to try to protect their eyes. You can then go for the groin, go for the top of the foot. I hope you found that helpful. If you like what you're hearing, hit the subscribe and the like button. And I will see you in my next video where we will discuss what kind of stances are optimal in a safety situation.